What's going on, guys? Today, I have an update to the Flicker Strike Falling Thunder Monk. We've now killed Arbiter in one flicker and we can clear maps super easy. Check it out. So, the Monk is now fully online, so I want to go over the tech that I use, explain the mechanics of the build, and talk about the skill rotations. I've included a full level 1 to Uber in-game planner in the description, so be sure to check that out. I've also included my Path of Building file and POE Ninja link to my live character for those that want it. Now, let's talk about the build. So, the Monk has a few main skills, the two being Flicker Strike and Falling Thunder. I use both of these skills, but feel free to use whichever you want. Flicker Strike is great for single target damage bossing. It has a lot of damage, very high base critical hit chance, and looks really cool. Falling Thunder, on the other hand, is amazing for mapping as it offers 360-degree clear with Nova projectiles. These two skills paired together allow us to have both great bossing and mapping at the same time, and they're both capable of bossing and mapping alone, but you would have to do some gem swaps. Feel free to pick whichever one you like or use both like I have, but you will need some unset rings. We had a lot of utility in the build by using Charge Staff. You can consume power charges to add lightning damage to attacks and add a lightning shockwave to all attacks. We throw things like Innervate and Blazing Critical on to add extra damage to all of our attacks, Culling Strike to kill rares uniques a little bit earlier, and Blind to reduce the chance of us being hit and increase our critical hit chance with notes on the tree. You should be using Charge Staff as often as possible to buff up all of your attacks. We then have Hand of Chayula and Mantra of Destruction. These skills are often overlooked, but add a ton of single target damage and allow us to get power charges and boss fights on demand. Hand of Chayula will apply socketed marks, in our case, Sniper's Mark, which will make our next critical hit do massively increased critical damage bonus. Mantra will empower our next attack with chaos damage and will now be using it to generate power charges as well. This is done by slotting in Aelish Chimes and Delayed Gratification. Mantra passively builds up combo on hit up to 8. Delayed Gratification increases this combo count from 8 to 20. Aelish Chimes will then consume said combo to grant 1 power charge per 4 combo. This means the 20 combo in our Mantra of Destruction then will grant us 5 power charges to grant us everything that we'll need for Flicker Strike or Falling Thunder in boss fights. Be sure to watch the boss demo section if you want to see exactly how this rotation works. For mapping power charge sustain, we have Cast on Critical and a low-level Profane Ritual. When we critically hit, we'll build Cast on Crit energy. When this energy buildup reaches 100%, it'll auto-cast Profane Ritual, which will consume corpses to grant power charges. It's important to have a good critical hit chance before using Cast on Crit, so aim for about 70% on my main attack, which is Whirling Assault, before you do swap to Cast on Crit. Until then, you can use Reaper's Invocation with the same gen setup. You'll just have to manually press a button to activate it to cast the Profane Rituals. The reason that we want Profane Ritual, a low-level Profane Ritual, in particular a level 7 gem, is because if you raise the level of Profane Ritual, it does nothing but increase the mana cost and the chaos damage it does. We don't use it for any damage, so we don't need to juice up its mana cost, so we'll just leave it at level 7. Now, our clear speed is buffed thanks to Herald of Thunder and Herald of Ice. We'll aim to have a lot of cold damage on our rings, gloves, weapons, and jewels to allow us to freeze. This will allow Herald of Ice to shatter and create cold explosions for some added clear. We'll shock targets thanks to Charge Staff and some added lightning damage, so it'll proc Herald of Thunder to call down lightning bolts when we attack. This Herald combo is great for both of these main skills. Feel free to mix them up, maybe throw in some Herald of Ash, or just do whatever that you please with them. Then our defenses revolve around Chaos Inoculation and Chevron's Satchel. Chaos Inoculation will make us immune to all sources of chaos damage, but will set our HP to 1. This means we don't need Chaos Res in our gear, which frees up affixes and reduces the cost of some pieces of gear. We'll then use Chevron's Satchel to allow our Life Flask to recover our energy shield. It's important that you have a instant recovery flask or percent recovery is instant. Without this line, you will not heal your energy shield if you use your flask, so be sure to have this. Now with our HP being set to 1, we need to stack a lot of energy shield and evasion rating. We'll stack our EV and ES up by picking nodes like Subterfuge Mask, Patient Barrier, Mindful Awareness, and Spectral Ward. So be sure to pick up these EV and ES nodes. You're going to want to be around 4,000 energy shield before you swap to Chaos Inoculation. Until then, just stay without CI. There's a few other pieces of tech that I'm also going to mix in the build, so I have really high hopes for how far we can take the build. Something else that I have really high hopes for is Mobalytics ARPG Build Tracker. This is the perfect tool for those that like to follow build planners. You'll be able to compare the gear, gems, and passives of the build you're following with a live character that you link to make following the build as smooth and seamless as possible. Simply find a planner that you want to follow, click on it, hit track build, and then link your Path of Exile account. Once you're there, you're able to scroll through, look at all the gear, all the passives, and all the gems, and verify that you have everything you'll need for the build. They even offer a free 3-day trial to test this feature yourself. So be sure to go over to Mobalytics and give this tool a try to ensure that your league start goes as smooth as possible. So now we've talked build mechanics, so now let's go ahead and jump over and talk about the skill and support gems of the build. Alright, so we're on the Monk. So now let's talk about the skill gems and support gems. So for our main attack, our kickoff skill, we have our Whirling Assault. Now this is just our strike skill. You can run whatever one that you want. You can run Ice Strike, you can run Tempest Flurry, whichever one that you feel like. I'm really enjoying Whirling Assault this league. They buffed it. It's got a ton of AoE, and there's this awesome Breach Lord MTX that makes it look super cool. So super effective. I really recommend it. I'm going to run Rage 3 as it will grant you Rage on melee hits. Rage is going to grant us increased attack damage. So the more Rage that we have, the more attack damage that we have. I then run Pinpoint Critical for more critical hit chance. This is important because we want our critical hit chance as high as possible. This will allow you to build up more cast on crit energy. I then run Practice Combo to have a chance to build an additional combo on hits. The faster we build our combo, the faster we get our power charges in boss fights. I then run Elemental Armament 2 for the increased attack damage. And then I have Osin's Oath. Osin's Oath is the Walker of the Wilds keystone, but in a support gem. So what this does is allows your Mana Leech from skills to recover based on elemental damage rather than physical damage. So what you'll have to do is on one piece of gear, whether it be your weapon, your gloves like I have here, or your rings, you'll have to get leech % of Fizz attack damage as mana. This will allow you to have your elemental damage with this gem leech rather than the Fizz. This is great for sustaining your mana whenever you're mapping, and you can also combo this with a 2% mana on kill gem, and you will be good to go. We then have Flicker Strike and Falling Thunder. Pick between whichever one that you want to use. I in particular like using both of them, but feel free to pick whichever one that you like. On Flicker Strike, I run Concentrated Area for more area damage. This is one of the single biggest DPS increases on this gem. I then run Pinpoint Critical, and this is for you guys. Run Pinpoint Critical. You can see that I have a 100% critical hit chance. You do not need to have a 100% critical hit chance. I think you are safe around 85%. This is because of the increased critical hit chance against dazed and blinded enemies on our passive tree. In my instance, I do have enough base critical hit chance to use Blindside. Blindside will grant you more critical hit chance against blinded enemies, but will not show up in the tooltip. So you'll have to calculate this in Path of Building. I can assure you that if you're at my level of critical hit chance with Blindside, you are good to use it. If you are below this number, use Pinpoint Critical. We then have Close Combat 2, because since we are striking enemies in their face, this will grant us 30% more attack damage. And this is Hit and Run. This will grant you 40% more skill speed. This is what makes Flicker Strike really fast and feel really comfortable. Now, if you do need more single target damage, you can drop this for something like Elemental Armament 2. But until then, I'm using Hit and Run. It makes Flicker way faster and look way cooler. And then lastly, I have Perpetual Charge. Now, this will grant us a chance to consume charges, but not count as consuming them. What this will do is whenever we consume our 6 power charges, it will roll every single one of those 6 power charges. They'll have a 1 in 4 chance to not be consumed, and therefore give us a chance to flicker a few extra times. This will allow you to sometimes chain tons and tons of flickers together. Sometimes you get really good RNG, sometimes you don't get good RNG. So this right here makes Flicker feel really smooth and consistent, but maybe if you didn't want this and you just wanted pure damage all the time, you could go Ambrosia. And then I have Falling Thunder. This is my favorite mapping skill by far. I'm using Nova Projectiles 1, and it needs to be 1. This will allow you to fire all projectiles in a circle, and Falling Thunder will fire additional projectiles per power charge consumed. We currently have 6 power charges at base. We count as consuming 7 because of the node on our passive tree. So we'll be shooting out 21 additional projectiles from our Falling Thunder. All of these projectiles will go out in a circle around us and clear everything in a circle. I then run Ricochet 2 to have a chance to chain from terrain. This is good for those maps that are really tight-knit and in quarters. This allows you to bank these projectiles off the wall. They'll go bouncing down the hall and clear out the whole map. It's really nice. I then run Pinpoint Critical for the more critical hit chance, and I do want to run Pinpoint here as I do think this is the better option. Flicker has a base higher critical hit chance than Falling Thunder, so I do, no matter what, recommend running Pinpoint Critical here. I then have Elemental Armament 2 for more elemental attack damage. And then I have Ice Bite 2. Now, Ice Bite is going to grant us some extra cold damage whenever we freeze an enemy with a supported skill. And this does freeze pretty often because we do have a nice chunk of cold damage. I then have Charge Staff, and Charge Staff is our huge DPS buff. This is going to add lightning damage to attacks for every single power charge consumed. So since we have 6 power charges, we count as consuming 7. We're getting a ton of added lightning damage to attacks. It also adds a shockwave, which will deal a little bit extra damage and kill a little bit more enemies. Adds a little bit of AoE to our attack. On Charge Staff, I run Prolonged Duration 2 for the more skill effect duration to allow this buff to last for a minute. I run Innervate to grant 25% of damage as lightning for 5 seconds to kill a shocked enemy. I run Blind 2 to blind enemies, and blind is great because this will make an enemy less likely to hit you, bumping your evasion rating up even higher. I then run Colding Strike 2 to allow us to cull rare and unique enemies. This is great because this allows you to kill those rares and those unique bosses just a little bit sooner. Then I have Blazing Critical. This is a great new support gem. It will add 15% of damage as fire whenever we critically hit with this supported skill. We have a decent chance to crit, so we will be activating this pretty often in my opinion. This is great for a little bit extra fire damage to attacks. Next up, we have Hannah Chayula and Mantra of Destruction. And last time I made the build video, we used Aelish Chimes and Hannah Chayula, but there's a lot of people complaining in the comment section about trying to dash with Hannah Chayula and getting stunned or just not really feeling smooth and comfortable. So I've kind of moved it to Mantra, and it really works on Mantra. So on Hannah Chayula, we do still want this because Sniper's Mark is one of the biggest damage increases that we can get. It's going to add a 86% increased critical damage bonus on the next critical hit. And then Hannah Chayula is going to increase the effect of this mark by 44%. So you're getting like 120, 130% increased critical damage bonus with our Hannah Chayula mark. I then run Rapid Attacks 3 to speed up the dash animation a little bit of the skill. I run Efficiency 2 to reduce the mana cost. And then I have Marcus Siphoning 2 to allow the next hit to leech mana and life. And then I have Charged Mark to, whenever we trigger this mark, to drop Shock Ground on the ground. This will just, guarantee that whatever is standing beneath that mark will be shocked. We then have Mantra of Destruction, and this is our new buff skill that we're using with the Aelish Chimes tech. Now, do not quality this skill. We don't want it to have a 7 combo versus 8 combo at base. We want it that 150% increase from this skill to give us as much combo as possible. More combo equals more power charges. So we'll slot in Aelish Chimes to grant us a 25% chance to get a power charge when we expend combo. So for 4 combo, you'll get 1 power charge. For 8 combo, you'll get 2. For 12, you'll get 3. For 16, you'll get 4. And for 20, you'll get 5. And the reason that we have 20 combo is because of delayed gratification. This will increase the amount of combo that we have to build up before we can use the skill by 150%. This makes it 20. You can also use Mantra Destruction directly again after using it because of this support gem as well. So you can use Mantra, attack, then use Mantra again, and attack again. I then run Charge Profusion 2 because since we are being granted power charges, this will give us a chance to grant additional power charges so we can get more than 5. We have Prolonged Duration 2 to increase the buff duration that it grants you. It also gives you Purple Flames of Chayula. This buffs the duration of the Purple Flames of Chayula. And then we have Chaos Mastery for +1 level. This is nice because the extra level equals extra empowered attack damage. Next up, we have our Cast on Critical. Now, if you don't have a sufficient critical hit chance, I do recommend that you use Reaper's Invocation. If you notice that you're maybe struggling to build up energy for Cast on Crits, I do recommend that you use Reaper's Invocation. It's just that you have to press a button to use Reaper's Invocation. On Cast on Crits, we're going to use a level 7 Profane Ritual. Now, we want it to be level 7 because it's the lowest gem level that's allowed for this skill, and adding extra level does not do anything for us that helps out the build. It only adds extra chaos damage per second, but it increases the mana cost of the skill. So we don't want to, raise this mana cost super high because it will just drain our mana. I'm going to run Boundless Energy 2 for gaining increased energy, Energy Retention for a chance to retain some of that energy whenever the skill is used, Charge Profusion 2 for chance to grant additional charges, and then Overabundance for the less skill effect duration. And this is important. You'll notice on Profane Ritual, it has a 1-second ritual duration. If I take this off, it now has a 2-second ritual duration. This means whenever this skill is cast on a corpse, it'll take 2 seconds to give you power charges. This makes it 1 second. So this makes that time to grant you your power charges half as long. Next up is Herald of Thunder. And before anybody races to the comment section and says anything, do not pay any attention to Diala's Desire. I dropped this whenever we were mapping, so I have it. I don't really recommend it otherwise. I just have it, so I'm going to use it in the build. In place of Diala's Desire, please use Elemental Armament 2. On Herald of Thunder, I'm going to be using Magnified Area 2 for the increased area of effect of the Lightning Bolt strikes. I'm then going to use Elemental Focus for more elemental damage. If you have an extra Strength gem, you could just use Elemental Armament 2 here. We have Pinpoint Critical for more critical hit chance. We want more critical hit chance because we want to proc cast on crit as often as possible. I have Lightning Mastery for +1 level of the lightning skill. And then I have Diala's. Like I said, if you can't afford Diala's or you don't want to use Diala's, feel free to just use Elemental Armament 2 here. Diala's is going to add +1 level and 10% quality. The 10% quality is going to grant us an additional lightning bolt. And it's also going to reduce the reservation of our Herald of Thunder by just a little bit. It's going to reduce it from 30 to 27 spirit cost. Next up, I have Herald of Ice. And Herald of Ice, we're going to use Magnified Area 2 for increased AoE of the explosions. Elemental Armament 2 for more elemental attack damage. Elemental Focus for more elemental damage. Pinpoint Critical for more critical hit chance for more of those cast on crit procs. And then Cold Mastery for +1 level. Next up, we have Wind Dancer, and this is great for increasing your evasion. For every stack of Wind Dancer, you get Gale Force. Every stack of Gale Force equals a little bit more evasion rating. We're going to run Magnified Area 2 because whenever you do get hit, Gale Force procs, and it will cause an explosion that will deal damage. This will increase the AoE of that explosion. We'll do Maim to maim enemies that explosion hits, Blind to blind them, Close Combat for a little extra damage of the explosion, and Elemental Focus for a little bit more damage on the explosion as well. Whenever I get hits, I have enough cold damage that it'll actually proc Herald of Ice and cause nice little chain cold explosions if I do get swarmed. Lastly, I have Elemental Conflux, and Elemental Conflux is granting us a ton of extra damage. Now, whenever I do get more spirit, I am going to try to test out Trinity, but for now, we're going to use Conflux since it only costs 60 spirits. On Conflux, you can either use Lightning, Fire, or Cold Mastery. It does not matter which one, just any one of these. You can't use more than one. And then since I have the extra spirit, I have a little bit extra overflowed spirit, I'm using Herbalism 1 for the increased recovery from Life Flask when a supported skill is active. This means that my Life Flask that's healing my ES is going to grant me just a little bit more recovery. If I had the extra spirit, I would run Herbalism 2. And that is all of the skill gems and support gems. So now let's talk about the gear. All right, so first let's talk staff. So on the staff, there is a few things I want to talk about. You are going to need a good chunk of cold damage with attacks. You will need cold damage to proc your Herald of Ice. So I do recommend that you try to get adds cold damage or gain % of extra damage is cold. So shoot for one of those two lines. Outside of that, any damage is good. If you get flat lightning, if you get flat fire, if you get flat fizz, if you get increased fizz, if you get increased elemental, any of those combos are good. The best combo in theory would be add lightning, gain cold, increase elemental. That is the perfect one, in my opinion, for the prefixes. As for the suffixes on the staff, I do recommend that you try to get increased to base critical hit chance. The higher the base critical hit chance, the easier it is to cap our crit for things like Flicker Strike, Falling Thunder, and Whirling Assault. Outside of that, level of attack, in my opinion, is the next best in slot. Level of attack will also increase the level of our Herald, so I like this more than level of melee. And then lastly, I like it to critical damage bonus. This is just the best in slot for extra damage on the staff. As for the socketables on the staff, I recommend that you get a increased attack damage against rare and unique enemies. This is the Feral's Rune of the Hunt. It's extremely cheap, and this is a huge DPS increase against rares and uniques. The extra little bit of damage against magics and normal doesn't really matter since we're killing them almost instantaneously anyways, so we might as well increase our damage against Ubers and rares. And then lastly, we have a Sequal's Rune in the Sky. This is going to gain damage as extra damage of all elements, so 5% extra lightning, cold, and fire damage. Next up, let's talk about the gloves. In the gloves, you're going to want as much added damage to attacks as possible. I would prefer lightning and cold. I would prio getting lightning and cold on the gloves. If you can get a third damage, that's also nice. Outside of that, +2 level of melee, any reses, any attributes, and then you can go for an EV, ES, or EV, ES base. Does not matter which one. Next up is the body armor, and the body armor is the source of all of our spirits because of the Lead Me Through Grace ascendancy. The more EV and the more ES that we have, the more spirit that we get. On the body armor, I would want as much EV, ES as possible, gain deflection, any res, any attributes, and if you can get it, there's a great desecrated mod called Spirit Reservation Efficiency. This will make all of your spirit gems cost less spirit, I'm yet to find one. It's probably going to be a very expensive body armor at some point. Next up, I have my helmet, and I did just buy this helmet after recording the footage. On this helmet, you're going to want as much energy shield as possible. Get a ES-based energy shield. So as much as you can get because of these subterfuge mask nodes. Subterfuge mask is going to give us +2 EV per 1 ES. So our 445 ES helmet is giving us 890 evasion rating on top of that. Otherwise, I like rarity, reses, and any attributes or ES recharge that you need. And then for a corrupt, since this is a Vol League, the Fate of the Vol League, you can corrupt, you can double corrupt. +1 maximum power charges is the like GG best in slot thing corrupt for this helmet. So we increase our power charge count by 1 to allow us to flicker for longer, deal more damage with falling thunder, and get more damage out of our charge staff. Next up is the boots, and these also can be EV, ES, or EV, ES based boots. You're going to want increased movement speed, and then you're going to want deflection, res, attributes. Try to get rarity if you can in your gear. The higher the rarity, the better. I'm currently at 98, so the more the better. Eventually, we will try to get a pair that we can socket in the movement speed rune and maybe one of the cool new Chicani, new like socketable items. Next up is the belt, and the belt is super important if you are on CI. This belt, Chevron Satchel, will allow your life recovery from flask to also apply to energy shield. This plus a instant recovery flask will allow you to instantaneously recover your energy shield on demand. This is great for instantly recovering your energy shield. So if you trip and fall on a map because you were sprinting and you got hit, you can spam your flask on the ground and heal yourself all the way up. So I really like this combo together. On the belt, I do recommend that you try to get a corrupted one with either increased EV, increased ES, a res, an attribute, something of those sorts. Next up are the rings, and you are going to need to unset rings if you're going to use all the skill gems that I've shown off in the video. On the unset rings, I do recommend that you try to get lightning and cold. I have not yet got lightning and cold combo on mine. I have lightning and fizz, but lightning and cold would be the perfect combo in my opinion. Otherwise, you're going to want any resistances, any rarity, any attributes, anything that you need there. Same applies for this ring. It's the exact same, added damages, rarity, attributes, res. Next up is the amulet, and on the amulet, you are going to want to prioritize defenses. You're going to want increased max energy shield, you're going to want increased evasion rating, and if you can get it, you're going to want increased global defenses. Some extra nice added bonuses are plus level of melee skill, increased critical hit chance, critical damage bonus, reses, attributes, rarity, whatever you may need. I'm currently anointing with Storm Charge, as Storm Charge is going to grant increased elemental damage if you dealt a critical hit recently, and increase our critical hit chance. Now, if you don't want to do Storm Charge, what you could do is you could anoint Patient Barrier and save yourself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, which would be really nice. So it's up to you on your call and what you want to do there. Next up are the charms, and this is actually super important this season. It was important before, it's even more so now with the new changes. So you're going to want a stun charm. A stun charm is going to help you from getting heavy stun locked, and you don't want to get stun locked. This will prevent you from attacking. You'll get smacked a bunch and you'll die. So be sure to get a stun charm. Try to get one with guard and try to get one with increased charges or reduced charges per use. Next up, I have a thawing charm. Now, it can be a regular thawing charm or it can be the Nest and Hope. This thing's about 70 exalt right now, so it's not too bad. This is going to grant you immunity to freeze, which is also detrimental to melee, and it's also going to kick off our ES recharge if we do get frozen. And then lastly, I have a ignite charm. Now, I'm farming Abyss right now, and the Abyss monsters, a lot of them have some really nasty fire damage, and Ignite does seem to either be bugged or has been super juiced for damage against you. So I do recommend using Ignite Charm if you're doing Abyss and wonder why you see your HP draining and you're not on a degen ground effect or something. It can most definitely be Ignite. It is absolutely brutal, this league. So Ignite Charm is huge here. And then for the flask, like I said, a instant recovery or a % recovery is instant life flask with either increased charges or reduced charges per use. Try to get one that's over quality. The higher the quality, the more recovery. And then a mana flask. I do like a instant recovery mana flask with increased charges or reduced charges per use. So yeah, that is all of the gear pieces. So now we can go talk about the passive tree and the jewels. All right, so here we are on the passive tree. So for your first 2 ascendancy points, I recommend that you either go for I Am the Thunder or I Am the Blizzard. Since I am using the Herald of Ice stuff, I do want I Am the Blizzard to give myself a little bit extra cold damage to help me freeze a little bit more often. With your next 2 set of points, I recommend that you get Sundered by Enemies to allow your crit hits to ignore enemy monster elemental resistances. This allows us to not have to build into elemental penetration. Your next set, your third set, I do recommend that you get Lead Me Through Grace, +1 spirit for every 8 ES on body armor, +1 spirit for every 20 EV on body armor. You cannot gain spirit from equipment, so this means that you cannot run like plus spirit on amulets or plus spirit on body armor. And then for your last 4 points, or your last 2 points, your fourth set of points, I recommend that you get the Soul Springs Eternal. Now, they did buff this skill this league. They made it so that meta skills have 50% increased reservation efficiency. This means that our cast on critical now, instead of costing 90 spirit with quality, it now costs 63. So really nice for reducing that spirit cost. And then our meta skills gain more energy. This just means that we'll build up more cast on crit energy. All right, so now let's talk about the actual skill tree and the jewels. So we're going to path out. I like to grab these critical damage bonus nodes, as these are better than the attack damage nodes once you do stack a lot of crits. Flow like water for attack speed, dex int, mindful awareness for the EVES, and I do go this crit route right here. We want all the crit that we can get. Up here, we grab a +1 power charge node. We'll grab these crit nodes. If you need more critical hit chance, be sure to pick this. If you're capped out, you could take this node. And then path out down this way to pick up High Alert for the increased evasion rating. And we are always on full life with CI, so this is huge for a little bit extra evasion rating and extra stun threshold. And then grab Subterfuge Mask because this is giving us +2 EV per 1 ES on our helmet. So this is providing us a lot of energy shield, as you can see, in evasion. So be sure to take this. We then come out here and grab Immaterial for the increased EV and ES. We'll then path up this way and grab Killer Instinct for the increased damage while on full life. We're always on full life, so we always have this bonus. And then I grab the blind nodes right here. These are increase our critical hit chance against blinded enemies, and we blind thanks to Charge Staff. And this is just great for capping out your critical hit chance. And then we have our first jewel. Now, I did just buy this Megalomaniac. I also did not have this on during the footage. I just bought this. The main thing that I'm looking for on a Megalomaniac is 1 node for damage and 1 node for defense. And on this one, I had 1 with the river. So 1 with the river is going to grant us increased defenses while wielding a quarterstaff, daze, freeze, and stun build up. You can pick whatever one that you want that's going to grant you defense. You do not have to take this one. And then I have Incendiary. Since I do have fire damage on my staff, I will be burning enemies. So since I'm burning enemies, this means that I'll get a little bit extra damage on those bosses. It could be anything that adds damage. Does not matter which one that it is. It could be something like increased attack damage. It can be critical hit chance, critical damage bonus, fizz damage. Anything that you want to do. Does not matter. Just get you a 1 attack, 1 defense Megalo. These are a little pricey right now. So if you can't get one, just go with a increased ES and a critical hit, critical damage bonus jewel. We then come up here and get the True Strike node for the Dex crit chance, Jugular for int Dex damage bonus, and then Deadly Force for the crit chance and the increased damage. Path up this way, we'll grab Spectral Ward for the +1 ES per 12 EV. This is providing a nice chunk of ES. We'll then come down this way. I'm going to pick up Overflowing Power for +2 power charges. Come over here, and I'm going to grab Martial Artistry for the crit damage bonus in Dex. And then grab the crit. I'm taking the crit damage bonus nodes because I do have a cap crit. If you don't, you could just go with the crit chance nodes instead. And then 1 with a storm to give us a, this will count as consuming an additional charge. This is going to count as consuming 7 power charges typically. With me having this +1, I count as consuming 8 whenever I use my skills. And then you're going to come down this way and we have our next jewel. And this is a Time Lost. And the Time Lost in this slot is probably the best in slot. And Against the Darkness could also be really good. On the Time Lost, I recommend that you get critical hit chance and critical damage bonus. Now, I did buy this one with increased max ES, crit hit chance, and crit damage bonus for 4 div. I then desecrated, and I happened to reroll and get increased global defenses. So, get one with crit hit chance and crit damage bonus if you can. You don't have to shoot for a GG one like this. I then come out here, and I'm going to grab these daze nodes. And these daze nodes are great because we have so much chance to daze thanks to these little nodes right here. So, we will be dazing a lot whenever we hit enemies. So increase critical hit chance against dazed enemies and increase damage against dazed enemies. And then I'm going to grab the Fabled Stag. Now this one, if you don't have enough points or you're not as high level as me, I do recommend that you pass up on this one for now. This is going to grant you a 10% chance to count as removing charges, but still using them. So that way it's going to kind of act as a pseudo baby perpetual charge to give us a chance to have more flickers and things like that. And then come over here, we're going to grab the crit damage bonus for Heartbreaking. Struck Through for the crit chance, and Heart Stopping for the crit damage bonus and crit chance. I then come out here, and I'm going to grab Enhanced Reflexes for the Deflect and the EV and Dex, and then I'm going to grab Bestial Skin for the EV. And yeah, that is the current, that is the bottom half. Let me go up this way. My fault. I then have Careful Assassin for the increased critical hit chance. This is vital for helping you get that crit cap. If somehow, by some way, you have a 100% critical hit chance, you can take this node off. You can go for it, but I have to take it for right now. We then have Chaos Inoculation for the immunity to chaos damage and bleeding, and it sets our max life to 1. This is why we are like this right here. And it is super important that whenever you go CI that you take a basement right here. Like at bare minimum, take a basement. This is going to grant you stun threshold and ailment threshold based off your ES. Your stun threshold is typically based off of your life. Since we're at 1 life, if you don't take this node, you're going to get stun locked, you're going to get frozen all the time, you're going to get ignited, you're going to get shocked, everything 24/7. So be sure to take this. Next up, we have a Heart of the Well. Now, on the Heart of the Well, I do recommend that if you are going Herald of Ice to get one with extra cold damage. Outside of that, it's whatever that you want to do. If you want to go for double damage, that's cool. If you want to go for damage crit, damage attack speed, damage move speed, whatever you want to do. I've gone for increased energy shield from equipped body armor, and I've gone for gain additional stun threshold. So this is just to help me get stun less, a little bit more ES, and a little bit extra damage. The reduced slowing potency was just on the jewel, so it's a little bit of whatever. And then lastly, we have Patient Barrier for the increased max energy shield. So just a big boost to ES right here, one of the biggest on the tree, so I definitely recommend it. And if you happen to need plus 25 int, you can pick up this node. And if you happen to need plus 25 dex, you can pick up this node. So yeah, that is the passive tree and jewels. So now I'm going to go ahead and get a mapping, bossing, and pinnacle bossing demo done for you guys. All right, so here is our map right here. Here's our T15. I got it loaded down with all the mods that you can have on it. And I got some tablets with some pack size because I want to juice up the number of monsters in here just to show you how crazy the clear can kind of be with the setup. All right, so to start off your mapping rotation, you are going to want to hit things with Whirling Assault to build your cast on crit energy and to get power charges. So you'll see I smack this pack of monsters up here, start to get some power charges. I can pop them for my charge staff. I can then get to spinning, to get a little bit more power charges. I can pop my mantra, and I can then either get to Falling Thundering or Flicker Striking. It's completely down to you, whichever one that you want to do. If you like Falling Thunder more, go for Falling Thunder. If you like Flicker Strike, go for Flicker Strike. Really dependent on the map layout. Some map layouts are better for Flicker, some are better for Falling Thunder. Kind of whatever that you want to do, but you just gotta smack around. If you need some mana, you can, hit some things, be good to roll. Let's see if I can go this way and get a good Flicker Strike going. Just gotta run out of enemies, so. But yeah, that is really kind of the rotation of it. You just kind of walk around, smack stuff when you need to with Whirling Assault to get your charges, and then get to slamming or flickering. You get hit up, you can just pop your flask, heal your ES up all the way. Little tink there, nice little tip for the demo. I like that. Need some ES or some mana. You just pop your flask, you get a roll. Now I do need to get a 2% mana on kill gem personally for myself, so that way whenever I'm spamming my Falling Thunder, I can sustain my my mana a little bit better. But besides that, Flicker away, Falling Thunder away, Whirling Assault away, whatever you need to do. I'm gonna go ahead and clear the rest of this map and go find the map boss. Once I find the map boss, I'll show you guys a map boss demo and then a pinnacle boss demo. All right, so here I am on the map boss. So we're gonna walk in here. Go ahead and start them. All right, so you're gonna make sure that you want to have charge staff first. So be sure that you have your charge staff. You can smack at the boss and use mantra to get it. So I'm gonna start smacking them just to be a good demo. You can hit him with your Hand of Chayula, mantra for charges, and then flicker. And he's dead. That's really it. You smack him with your Whirling Assault to build a combo. Use mantra to grant yourself power charges. Pop your charge staff. Hit him again for some more combo. Use mantra for power charges. Hand of Chayula, and then flicker. Or Falling Thunder, whichever one. But that is the bossing rotation. I'll now go pull my splinters together and go run a Zesht. All right, so here at Zesht. The first thing you want to do is get your power charges for your charge staff. So if you don't have extra charges from running the Breach Walk, smack them up and first get your power charges to pop your charge staff, then do this process. So I'm gonna hit him up and build up combo. Now that I'm at 20 stacks, I'm good to go. I can hit him with our Hand of Chayula, pop our mantra, and then flicker him. And almost dead. So there you go, easy enough. That's all you really got to do. Just, get your power charges, pop your charge staff, get your power charges, Hand of Chayula, mantra, flicker, or Falling Thunder. And yeah, that is the Pinnacle boss loop. So yeah, let's see you guys out of here. So that's going to be it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the Flicker Monk. I have more upgrades and updates coming soon. Going to pour some more investment into it. Been doing really good this league. Keep an eye on the Mobalytics planner, the POE Ninja profile, the POB file, as I will be updating some stuff. You can come swing by Twitch and watch me play with this build live, test some stuff, ask me some questions, anything that you need. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you did this far, really appreciate it. And hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.